Hi, I hear you ask, who is Cosmond Jackson? Cosmond Jackson, the esteemed founder of Time Value Finance Ltd and TVM Finance Ltd, boasts an illustrious banking career spanning over 2.5 decades. Notably, he achieved remarkable success by spearheading the expansion of Billy Craig's bank's presence in Westmoreland, achieving an impressive 200% growth rate shortly after opening of the Savanna-la-mar branch. With over a decade of dedicated service at Billy Craig and Dehring, Bunting and Golding Limited, rising to the level of a junior partner, as well as 2 years as a consultant for Scotia Bank, Cos's expertise as a seasoned banker and charismatic leader has been instrumental in shaping the financial landscape. His vision and strategic acumen continues to drive his company's growth and reputation as a prominent force in the finance industry. And he's a Mannings 1981 graduate. Thank me later. Hi, this is Roger Smith of the True Blue Lounge, and today I have a 1981 graduate, Cosmond Jackson. Cosmond, how you doing, sir?
Giving thanks, Roger.
All right, all right. So I'm really, really blessed that you're able to bless the forum. And what I want to do is I have some questions because it's all about getting to know Cosmond. So my first question for you, Cosmond, are you an iPhone man or an Android man?
Android.
Windows or Mac?
Windows.
Okay, okay. Let's start food-wise. What's your
Yeah,
favorite
man.
meal, Cosmond?
Well, my favorite meal is really, I enjoy a curry goat.
Uh-huh.
Um, Perhaps occasionally some stew peas.
Okay, okay. With white rice or rice and peas?
A little bit of white rice.
Okay, nice. So what about drinks? Are you drink alcohol or just
Yeah,
coconut
man.
juice?
My favorite drink at this time is rum cream.
Okay, okay. So I like the rum bar rum because
Right?
it tastes a little different from the rare nephew. But I like the rum bar rum, but I didn't know they done a rum cream.
Yeah,
Wow.
man. Yeah, man. So my favorite drink was, well, my favorite drinks were Signature Appleton Signature
Uh-huh.
and Johnny Walker Double Black.
Okay, you have an expensive palate there, sir.
Yeah,
Double
man. But
black.
about a year ago, July 12th to be exact,
Uh-huh.
uh, I decided that I was going to, you know, take a break, stop drinking hard stuff,
Okay.
and go really mild like what I'm doing now, red wine or rum cream.
Okay, okay. I can't do that, because I never budget to live to 100 odd years old. So I have to go beat the rum until that time comes. But I do understand. I do understand. So so what primary school did you go to, Cosman?
So first I went to Petersfield Primary.
Uh-huh.
I left Petersfield Primary midway and went to Unity. I went to Unity in grade 4.
Okay, so were you in Miss Dobson or Miss Cox lesson class?
I was in Miss Dobson.
Okay, she used to look hotter than Miss Cox, you know that.
Very hot.
Okay, okay. Hey, you see, so we know me I talk about.
Yeah, man.
So what part of Westmoreland were you when you started going to school? What part of Westmoreland were you living in?
So I was living in Hartford. That's where I grew up. So
So what
like
what
going,
part of Hartford is this now?
okay, so I guess you would know coming from Amity, you reach Hartford Crossing,
And
you
then you
make a
go
left
down and Williamsfield is
as
further
if you're
down?
going, yes, you make a left as if you're going to Williamsville, and I'm like about a mile up the road.
Okay, 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 cool. Nice. And how did you get to school?
So during those times at Unity, I used to take bus. So, we would have to either, if you can't get a bus coming from Williamsville, you walk to the crossing and get a bus coming from Withanen or Darliston, Manby Special,
Man board.
or
Yes,
one
man.
of those buses and go to Unity.
Okay, okay. And you used to boom drive as well and jump in a people pick up back as well, yeah?
Well, occasionally we get a pickup drive, mainly come home.
Okay.
Sometimes, lunch money done and you're trying to walk home and
Yes, yes.
a
I've
good
been there.
Samaritan pick you up in the back of a pickup.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know, I hear everybody talking about bus this and bus that and new bus. And you think of how we got to school. We didn't even know how we would get to school. There was nothing was definite.
Nothing was definite. True,
Nothing
true.
definite. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So tell me, part of this little test I do is a little cognitive test. Do you remember first form in Mannings?
Yeah, man, very much.
Name me 5 girls in your class and 5 guys. First one that come to mind.
Um, 5 girls. So I can name maybe Constance Jones,
1,
Ava Livingstone,
2.
um, a few more.
You know what?
Claudia.
I'm not gonna pressure you, but you see, if you see you're giving up the rum, you want to start it again because it might.
I'm telling you because one of the things too, the little confusion is after third form, there were so many switches, like some people came in your class, some people went from your class. Karen
Right.
Scott was one of them, and so on.
All right. What about the guys then? All right. Let's say you get 3 girls. What about guys?
Yeah, man. So you had like Robert Clark, Tony McDonald,
I know him.
and a few more. Paul England,
Uh huh.
you know.
Dave Scott wasn't in your class.
No, Dave wasn't in my class.
Okay. He was in that year though. Scene.
Yeah, man, and
Okay.
right and Price.
Okay. Well, I give like a good 70%. Okay, a good
Yeah,
seventy
man.
percent for
Yeah,
the
man. Yeah,
cognitive
man.
test there.
Yeah.
So tell me, so lunchtime at school, where are you going for lunch? Because that was kind of my
Lunchtime.
era.
Yeah, man. Lunchtime in those days, we would go by. Um, there was Cameron Bakery just down the road, and you buy a patty and a cocoa bread.
What about dry bread and piece of cheese? No.
Yeah, man. And the days when you never, had enough, you do the dry bread and cheese thing. But also go to the canteen and maybe get a patty.
Yeah,
And
the
a
party at the
box.
canteen wasn't so nice though. It wasn't like
Yeah,
our.
man. But patty and box drink, But I think the cocoa bread and patty was more like when I was touching up fourth farm, fifth farm. It's first farm is more canteen.
Right. So round about 1979, 80, it was some real tough times in Jamaica. I know because I was gonna say luckily, I left because it was a rough time in Jamaica them time there. Do you remember times like that? Do you remember it being hard or
Well, I
because
mean, I tell you something. It was difficult, but thanks be to God, my parents, were very resilient. My father, for instance, did 5 jobs at the time.
wow.
Worked as a gardener, messenger, watchman, washed his boss's car, cleaned the office. And so we never knew what it was to be hungry. I didn't know what it was not to have uniform. I didn't know what it was not to have lunch money, despite us being from such humble beginnings because of the almost 24-hour shift that my father did on a regular basis.
Wow. That's powerful. That's powerful. You think about what he done and think about men nowadays, your age group, your kids' age group, and think who's prepared to do that now.
Definitely. And one of the things my father always said was, he never got a chance to go to school. And he said, boy, listen to me. None of you now come do what me doing. And so me I make sure, I don't mind doing 3, 4, 5 jobs to ensure that you guys don't come and do what I'm doing.
Powerful. You can't let him down. No, can't let
No,
him
man.
down. So after school, Cosmond, tell us your trajectory to where you are today, sir.
So I was supposed to become an electrical engineer. And, at Mannings, I don't know if you heard the famous story about me, doing the intercom system and all of those things, but
What year? What year was that? What year were you in?
I graduated 1981. So, at the time, my parents couldn't afford for me to go to CAS, which was where I would do engineering. So eventually I got a job at JN. I went to Bethlehem Teachers College first of all, starting to become a teacher because my older sister said, you couldn't sit around not doing anything. You don't get a job, but you can't go to class yet. So I started becoming a maths teacher because maths and social studies, and got this job at JN. Which when I got the job at JN, I was saying, perfect. I can now go and save the money to go to class myself. So having gone there, starting to save, at a point, I checked with some of my friends who had gone to class, came back working, and I was now an accounts clerk and earning more money than they were earning. And I was saying, what's the point of going away for 3 years and coming back to earn less? So I stayed with banking, stayed with Jane eventually. That's where I met my wife, by the way, at
Lucky
Jane.
you. On the job, you can't do that nowadays.
Yeah,
You
man.
get
So,
fired for them things there.
I'm telling you, but we were so disciplined that it wouldn't have made a difference if it was now or then. So, after a while, I eventually did a diploma in business, and at some later stage, I did a bachelor's in business because I realized no, I was almost stuck in banking. So, having after JN, I went to NCB, became a credit officer, got a job with a merchant bank, Billy Craig Merchant Bank, as branch manager. DB&G bought Billy Craig. I became a senior manager, eventually a vice president. And following which Scotia would have bought DB&G, I consulted for Scotia Bank for 2 years after that. And by then I had my own company, Time Value Finance, which is a financial services company. And
Cool, cool. So it looks like your progression in work was like nice and steep. So were you just a good employee, just good at what you done, or they just liked you?
well, I tell you what, I was not the most brilliant, but I was the maybe the most willing
Hard working, they can't beat hard work.
hard work. So I was willing to learn. I was willing to do other things that weren't in my job description. And certainly when opportunities came, I would have been more ready for them because of my exposure, having done these extra work which were not on my job description.
Okay. So I'm gonna take you back a little bit. So this intercom system that you built at school, what year were you in at the time?
I think at the time I was like, myself and Mr. Allen. Um, at the time, Mr. Allen was my electrical installation teacher. You guys used to call him Flux.
Okay. It
And
wasn't Drake. It wasn't Cedric Allen, no?
no, Cedric was the art teacher.
Okay, okay.
So it was Lloyd Allen. Very
Okay.
good friend of mine. Many people would know that I'm always around by electrical installation. So he and I did that intercom system, and got into some trouble with some students because Mr. Anita could now listen to the other classes, all the classes, and he could also speak to them from that system.
Wow. Wow.
So some students, of course, weren't very happy about it because the headmaster could just press a button for a particular class and hear all that they're going on with there.
I didn't know that. That's news to me. I didn't know. I thought it was just one way. Okay, okay. So, of all these jobs that you done, Cosman, tell me one that you didn't like, you really hated. All right, no, let's not use
um,
the word hated.
right.
You
So
disliked.
I can't think that there was at NCB. I remember, there it involved some filing of checks, and especially when you're on keys, you would be there very early in the morning and leave very late, and even when inspectors were there, you would have to lock up. So if inspectors were there until late at night, you would have to be there. But generally, I enjoyed them at the time. I had some very good co-workers, good supervisors, excellent managers, and so it was not so difficult to adapt to anything that you weren't too happy about initially.
You seem like a guy that's very adaptable. So hey, anything will work.
Well,
Do you have
from
any? Sorry, go on.
yeah, man, from wanting to become an engineer to becoming a banker is quite a change.
Yes, yes, yes. So, do you have any hobbies, and how do you get time to indulge?
Right. So back in the day, I mean, I would still continue to do electrical work in my spare time. And so some of the works, even at my house and so on, would have been some electrical work that I do. I like to hang out with people quite a bit. I'm kind of a very outgoing person. Hang out with guys, get jokes, give jokes, just kind of shoot breeze when you have some spare time. Enjoy going out with the family, going to the beach sometimes, and so on. Those are some of the things that I do for fun.
All right, so I'm going to ask you a tough one. Are you off the grid now? Because I'm thinking someone like you with your engineering background, you would have played around with some satellite dishes, and when power cut and JPS has stressed everybody out, Cosmond save up film energy in some batteries. So tell me that's what
Right.
you
So,
do.
so we're still on the grid, but I'm contemplating solar at this time.
Okay, okay. I knew it was there somewhere.
Yeah, man. And the truth is that we are not very heavy consumers of electricity. So when we do the maths, it's not so difficult to continue. One of the things that has driven me to be looking more into solar now is the constant power cuts, and that during the time when you have a hurricane and you're out of power for several days. So it's not
Yes,
so much a consumption.
yes, yes, yes. When you need it, you need it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cosman, are you a religious man, and how does religion help you in your life?
Yes, I grew up as a Christian. I believe in God. I grew up in this part of the world as a Christian, and so I have a strong Christian faith. My wife is a very strong Christian, and she has influenced me quite a lot in that regard. I do go to church with her from time to time. She's a Seventh Day Adventist. Would have been brought up in pretty much Christian home, and so that has. I believe in prayer. I believe that God can do all things, and so we lean on Him quite a bit.
Okay,
Of
nice.
course, of course, God won't come down from the sky and do things that you are expected to do yourself.
Uh-huh. Okay, okay. Do you ever have questions with your engineering mind about this whole religion stuff?
Well, as especially younger, I would have wondered whether which of these, many um, religions, Christianity, Buddhism, Hindu, Muslim, um, varying ones that we heard about growing up and so on, and as time. But I've never ever had any doubt that there is an ultimate being.
Okay.
But in terms of which religion, sometimes the thought is there that if you are brought up in, say, a Jamaica with a Western world background with persons from the British system, then you would be exposed to Christianity, while some other parts of Africa and India and so on are more exposed to Muslim and Hindu and so on.
Okay, okay. When we die, Cosmon, what do you think happens to us?
Well, from my Christian background and what I was brought up with, it is my belief that the spirit goes to a better place under the direction of the Creator.
And okay, so no life after death then, yeah? Do you want to be buried or cremated?
I am open to what my family and the persons who are left in charge see fit to do. I have no particular specific desire of how I should be, my remains should be disposed of or put to rest.
Okay. So, Cosmond, what are you very, very passionate about? And tell me a little bit about, life after Mannings, the alumni and all that sort of stuff. Are you involved in any of the alumni stuff?
Well, I currently serve on the school board as vice chairman, and I am also chairman for the facilities committee. I also chair the Thomas Manning Restoration Committee, and you know, certainly, I would have sat on the board for Unity Primary School, Petersfield High, etc. Currently, one of the main projects that we are trying to do is to restore the Thomas Manning building at Mannings. I'd just like to mention that the committee members who have been and are still there, um, you know, it's the committee and I'm sure the board and myself, we are profoundly grateful to the late the service given by late Mrs. Carol Newman. She was selfless, dedicated, and she worked tirelessly on this committee that I chair, the Thomas Manning Restoration Committee. Past member Mr. Norman Reed, a number of you would know him. He was branch manager for Savanna-la-mar NCB. He was a general manager of NCB before retiring, but despite he being not in SAV, he would continue serving on the board and helped us so much with the restoration committee. The current restoration committee members, the team of um, committed and experienced, hardworking individuals. And I'd just like to mention my committee members here, Mr. Moses Chaibar, Chairman of the School Board, Mr. Victor Lowe, Chairman of the Mannings Trust, Dr. Archibald Campbell, Head of the Fundraising Subcommittee, Colonel Oral Khan, who also believe heads the mentorship program at Mannings, Mr. Robert Morris, who is an architect, and recently Mr. Michael Needham, who is new to the committee, who comes with a wealth of experience in property management and the construction industry. Just to give a little update on the restoration, holders may be asking and wondering what is going on with the restoration. We have reached the contractor engagement. We engage Lloyd Daly of Neville Daly Construction as the primary contractor for the restoration project. This decision was made based on the recommendation of the Jamaica National Heritage Trust, and we had extensive discussions with the architect and other persons in the Jamaica National Heritage Trust, who advised that we should look to appoint a contractor with a strong track record in historical restoration. Mr. Daly successfully restored some key heritage sites, including the Parish Anglican Church and the Methodist Church in Savanna-la-mar. Where we are with the project, based on expert advice from Mr. Michael Needham, our newest addition to our team of the committee, and the professionals he personally engaged at his own expense. We are currently rescoping the project. Our architect David Snana is working to update the design to add new restrooms which were never on the building, reconfigure the building's electrical system, and this followed a consultation with Michael and his professionals and the headmaster, Mr. Steve Gordon. Our estimate also, BQ, bill of quantities, add some shingles, which Michael's suggestion again, we're looking at replacing those with some other shingles which are more readily available. He's the engineer that was brought recently by Michael has also made some recommendations, and we're exploring the possibility of the inclusion of metal framing to reinforce the superstructure. So where we are now, our next step is once these modifications are finalized and approved by the committee, we will amend the existing contract to reflect the updated scope of work. Following this, we will proceed with further mobilization and the resumption of full-scale restoration efforts. So that is as far as the Thomas Manning building is concerned. That's where we are. We are looking at a number of other areas as facilities chair for the school. We are looking at the perimeter fence. We are looking at classrooms, a number of class year groups. Dr. Kerry Wallace, for instance, and his group are building, with the assistance of Victor Lowe, building classrooms. Um, 85 with Donald Gordon and some of their other alumni are looking at classroom as well. My daughter Tara, who I watched your interview with her, and she and her class of 2005 are about to break ground for a gazebo on compound, which will house students who just want to hang out and access internet and so on, because while we restore the building, there is a need for more space.
Right, right, right. So, is there more funds required to finish the old building, or are you guys still
Yeah,
collecting
well,
funds for
yes,
that?
we the last bill of quantities was at about 75 million Jamaican dollars, and strong leadership from Dr. Archibald Campbell, who chairs this subcommittee, the finance subcommittee, fundraising, um, support from other persons such as Victor Lowe, etc., have committed um, and have gotten commitments to the tune of just over 60 million. And so, we are expecting that once full scale work um, recommences, then the additional amounts will be um, raised. One of the points that I'd like to make here also is that there are commitments from like even South Florida chapter and others. And so at this stage, I think we're at the point now where, and I'm sure they are quite ready, and Canada and so on, and other stakeholders are quite ready to pay over their funds to the school now, which is kept in a ledger and fully accounted for by our able bursar. It's great. So it is about time now that those monies, those commitments should come to the school so that the full scale restoration can resume.
Okay. That was a really, growing up, it was a really nice building. It was a staple of
Oh
the
yeah,
school, so it'd be really nice to see that get completed.
right. And I mean, we were looking at just restoring it in its present form, but the additional, like I said, Michael has come with his ideas and brought some professionals, which suggests that to restore a building like that without bathroom facilities is something that we should consider adding those and the
Right.
electricals as well. And so that all of those ideas are welcome, and that's why we are rescoping now before recommencing the full-scale restoration.
Okay. Thank you, Michael, for the bathrooms, that is. Cool, cool. So,
Right.
tell me.
I mean, and while we'd like to recognize everyone also, I want to make special mention of Victor Lowe, who, you know, he has looked at the budget, he has looked at what commitments are there from corporate Jamaica and like the chapters and so on. And, I think he's the largest single donor to the restoration. And he has certainly made our work a little much easier myself and Dr. Archibald Campbell, who most of you may know, despite his busy schedule as chairman of JMB Group, he makes time for this committee and to so ably raise funds and account for them. As you know, he has a doctorate in accounting, so um, we certainly have the funds in being managed by I would say the best, if not one of the best in Jamaica.
Yep, true that. Because Nigel Clark gone somewhere else. So, all right. So, tell me a time in your life, Cosmond, that was very difficult for you, and I'm more interested in how you picked yourself up. So, tell me a dark time. You don't have to go into specifics. Just a time when
Sure,
Cosmond
sure,
was
sure.
rough.
It's coincidental that I listened the entire interview with yourself, which was ably conducted by you, and Tara was being interviewed, and it's so coincidental that when she mentioned that her darkest time was when my father passed, um, you know, it is also my darkest time. I mean, this is someone who was my hero. This is someone who has done 5 jobs to, bring us up and give me the start that I got. A man who was so fit at almost 80 could run up a tree at any time. And he had just done his medical, everything was in perfect condition. And then, he died doing what he loved to do best, by giving. By then, thanks be to God, I was able to get a garden and sort of help for them around the yard. And he had just sent him up the road to a purchase, and somebody asked him for a breadfruit. And my father, being so fit, went on the breadfruit tree and trying to reach the best breadfruit, the limb on which he was broke, and that was how he died. I cried for 2 days. My eyes were swollen. Thanks be to God, I had my wife and some other friends around me and who were there for me. But that was a really, really, really dark moment. On the 12th of June, 2013. So it's about 12 years.
Okay. I think Cosman, a lot of us don't realize, that everybody goes through things, and some things will be on people's mind for ages. So it's always important how you got out, who was around you, who helped you. You know what I mean? Because
Right. And then recently, I lost my mother-in-law just Christmas Day that just passed.
wow, sorry
She,
to hear that,
she
man.
was also very close to the family. It's someone who was very instrumental in raising all of my 3 kids. And, this was a great loss as well. Again, with her and my mom, who passed a year after my dad, we were kind of, knowing that they were ill and this was a possibility. But the real shocker was really my father, who passed suddenly, from that tragic
Fuck.
accident.
Right. Wow. When you think of the future, are you a hopeful? Are you a positive guy?
I am very hopeful, and you know, when I speak to young people on a regular basis, as I do, I tell them, life is what you put into it, and so I'm hopeful that I can make an impact on a number of youngsters. I take a lot of time out sometimes just going about my regular schedule, and I see like a father with his son or his daughter. And just recently, I spoke to a younger person who lost his wife recently, and he was trying to get the best for his stepdaughter, and I found that remarkable. I actually commended him, and these moments make you understand that our future is very, very bright.
Are you? Where did you get this giving spirit from? And I need, and the reason I say that, it it's not natural. Not everybody gives. Some people have and not give, whether it's
Yeah,
time or
the truth
resources.
is, I enjoy giving. You know, I can tell you that I have a strong Christian background also, and the Bible tells you that the more you give is the more you'll be blessed. And if anyone, I was awarded the Governor General Achievement Award for the parish of Westmoreland for 2005, and the citation, which I'm sure you can find on the Gleaner's website, would amongst that part of it would say that my man, one of the things I've said to the Costas at the time, who was Honorable Owen Sinclair, is that I believe the more you give is the more you'll be blessed. And
Okay.
so I've always believed that, and it has always proven to be right.
And giving back to your school, do you think that's something everybody should do out of duty?
Of course, the school has done so much for us, and there are so many children who are in need of, assistance. The school itself, the ministry and the budget and all of that is not able to do all that needs to be done. And persons like, yourself, me, others who have been so fortunate to have gone to the greatest school, which is the Manning School. Um, we owe a
You,
lifetime
you,
of
so,
gratitude.
you sound like a cult leader now, you know.
Yeah,
Froome
man.
School and Petersfield School, all right as well, you know, but it's all right.
Yeah,
I
man. I
agree with
mean,
you. I
and
agree with you.
listen, I listen. Some brilliant, very brilliant students have come out of Rome and Petersfield. As a matter
Godfrey
of fact,
Stewart.
as a matter of fact, I've seen student out of Petersfield, and I have benefited from one of them because my niece, who I could call my daughter, who I took over from her father, passed when she was 6. Actually, went to Petersfield, and she did her bachelor's and graduated with a first class honors. So
Okay. Wow. So, Cosmond, how do you life is tough. You got a lot of weight on your shoulders. Being a father, being a proud father, especially having a dad that had so many jobs and you saw what he done to look after his family. How do you manage your mental health?
so I listen to quite a lot of motivational speakers. One of my favorites is Napoleon Hill, and I do quite a bit of workouts. I've been doing this at least 3 to 5 times per week for the last 26 years.
Wow.
So I do squats, push-ups, at least an hour on the elliptical, and during my hour on the elliptical, I'd be listening to, like Napoleon Hill or some other motivational speaker. And these are the things that help you stay focused, stay relaxed, and it's I can tell anyone who doesn't work out that working out is a great stress reliever.
Nice, nice, nice. You know, I can see you're holding on to your body mass at our age, so that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah, man.
Um,
I'm working on it. I think my wife and I now have a challenge where we're working on the elliptical, and I see her competing hard with me nowadays. So
nice.
I have a challenge right here
In the
in
house.
home.
Yep, yep, yep. So, how do you keep your? So, I asked you how you manage your mental health. How do you keep your spirits up? Because, um, as I said, life is tough. You know, when you look at your wife, you know you all got
Life is
provider.
tough, and we with with children, grandchildren, other family members, and relating to them, and sometimes your ideas are not always their ideas, and it's sometimes it's difficult when you believe you're telling them the right thing and they have another opinion, just to stay stay balanced and to at least keep my composure. Sometimes I refer to um, motivational speakers. I talk to some of my friends, you know, um, You know, my friends that I speak to on a regular basis, friends and family, speak to my wife, my children. Sometimes I feel like I'm being a bit hard or I'm being a little bit too easy. And my wife is like my sounding board. And I would say, what do you think about this? And she reassures me that, no, you're doing the right thing. You know, sometimes you say you're doing the wrong thing and I still do the opposite. And for most men who are married, boy, your wife is usually right, I can say, because most of the time when I don't take the advice of my wife, it comes back to bite me.
Right. Yeah, I can see who can run. I try not to run around my house. Cause I'm 6'6", so I have to run my house, But you guys doing all these squatting and things, you can't run around on the house. No good. That's nice.
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, man. No, man. I do like 50 squats first, then I take a rest and I do another 50 squats. Then I take a rest, I do 50 push-ups. Take a rest, I do another 50 push-ups. Then I do the elliptical. So I can run around my house for the whole day. What I am not able to do is to run the house because my wife runs the house.
Right. No, I understand that. I understand that well. Well. That's cool. That's cool. Hey, I'm really grateful. But I do have one question. It's been bugging me. I've never asked someone a question that's just been bugging me. Throughout your banking, when you started, did you have a mentor?
Well, I had a few mentors. So at JN, I would have had Mr. Fitzcoy, who was the manager. But more so when I went to NCB, I had Thomas Wells, may his soul rest in peace, who was a very good friend of mine and a mentor. Mr. Magnus Gooden um, was a great manager, and at NCB Savanna-la-mar, I can remember at one point when there was some issue with my supervisor, and at this point I was wondering, how is my banking career going on? And when I spoke with Mr. Gooden, and he heard both sides, he was able to encourage me. Sorry, and I can never forget how grateful I am to him for having stepped in and to protect me at that time.
Right.
And Mr. Andre Levy, I mean, I learned to write so much from him. In terms of he writes more like a lawyer, although he was a bank manager. My writing skills of putting credit together and so on came from him. When I went on to Billy Craig, I'd gone there with a lot of under my belt from NCB, and having gone to DB&G afterwards, Peter and Gary and Mark, they would have brought in consultants from the Isle of Man, from the US to train us. And, this was just such a great experience.
I I always wonder, when you hear someone's career trajectory, you have to wonder, because when I hear your jobs, I'm just thinking you have to have, because I don't even know if young people are encouraged in their career to find good mentors in their business. I don't even know if it's something that's encouraged, but I know it's very, very important anyway, so. And at
And
Mannings School, who was the mentor there?
right. So while I was at Mannings, my mentors were like Mr. Lloyd Allen, electrical installation, Mr. Al Brown, maths teacher. As a matter of fact, when Al Brown didn't come to class, I would teach a maths class when I was in fifth form. So
Okay.
kind of give you an idea. Ozzy Coote, we used to teach physics. Because I was supposed to be a scientist, I ended up in banking by default.
Hey, if you're born again, you can come back as an engineer.
Yeah, but you
I will
see, that's
endorse you.
it. You were very fortunate because you're an engineer. And as you say, I mean, I still do a lot of those things. Just very recently, my wife bought a dryer, and the place we were putting it didn't have a pilot switch. And when I called a few electricians, they were giving us dates that were a little bit far away. And I said to her, remember that I was supposed to be an engineer. And in no time, I
Knock
was
it
able
out.
to put that in.
Yeah.
And it's working perfectly.
Yeah. My last question for you, Cosmond, is this: When workmen come to your house to do technical jobs, do you question them a lot and hover around them?
Not overly, because 90% of the people who do technical jobs are usually highly recommended from persons who I know very well.
Okay.
And so, one of the things that Warren Buffett says is, one of his quotes is, smart people learn from other people's mistakes.
Yep.
So, when my friends, if I have some work to do, I call my friends and they would tell me, yes, this one worked for me. I had a problem with it. This one worked. Everything was great. So right away, I have a referral, and that makes it so much easier.
Right. And they know that if they mess you up, you have a league of people that they work for, so they know they better
Exactly.
treat you good.
Usually, the people who work for me work for a number of my friends.
Right. That's nice. That's nice. Hey, Cosmond, I'm really grateful that you gave me the time to, chat to you and stuff and get to know you. I'm really glad that you're spending some good times working on the alumni stuff and the Mannings building. So at least you're getting something out of it. I'm really grateful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And, I just wanted to take this opportunity also to thank the board, members of the committee, the headmaster, Mr. Steve Gordon, and his assistants, and the entire team at Mannings, the staff, the ancillary staff, groundsmen, all of those great people for the work they are doing and continue to do. And, I myself and my family, my three kids went to Mannings. We are eternally grateful to the school and the management and staff of Mannings School.
Nice, nice. Thank you very much, sir. And have a wonderful evening, yeah?
Thank you, and the same to you.
All right, cool.